Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stop Being Sold, a community of informed consumers who are sick and tired of being sold financial products that they don't understand or need. So if you're tired of being a transaction, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and also like the content of like this video if you enjoy the content we're producing. How are you today, Brian?
Hey, Michelle, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good, thank you. So today we're going to be talking about index annuities. Now, not the most sexy topic, but if you are shopping around for annuities or you think you need an annuity because your neighbor's got one or your best friends or whatever it is, or you're looking for a place because you don't want to put the money in the market at the moment, it's really important. How many videos have we done on this channel, Brian, about annuities? I mean, tons, right? Dozens.
Yeah, tons.
It's so important that you understand what you're investing in because there are so many different types of annuities and each one of them has a different purpose and will get you to a different place at the very end. So,
yep.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. There's so many. You're right, Michelle. And it's funny because and thanks to everyone that's responding to these videos also, because the questions are being asked about, hey, what do you think about XYZ annuity? Or what about this? Can you do a video on this? Thank you. Keep that up because that's going to keep the channel going. And our goal is to inform you. So
absolutely. All right. So with that being said, let's start at the let's just go back to the basics if it's okay. What is an annuity? Just quickly define that for us before we move on.
Very simple. Just like our other videos, annuities basically, Michelle, is a long-term contract between you and an insurance company. It can be anywhere from 3 years to like 10 years in most states today. And it's basically where you put your money with the insurance company, it grows, and in a return for your investment, you get income in the form of regular payments, either immediately or sometime in the distant future, right? But also with some of these annuities, you can also cash them out and just take the accumulation value and walk away too. So,
okay. All right. So let's then dive into what is an indexed annuity and what sets it apart from the others.
Okay. Indexed annuities is slightly different. It doesn't have the guaranteed fixed rate in there like most fixed annuities in MYGAs do, which are the multi-year guaranteed annuities. Indexed annuities are just like they sound. They track an index. And that index could be something similar like the most common one, Michelle, is the S&P 500. Okay. Sure. Now you can see the Dow, depending on the company, and the Nasdaq. And now there's these different allocations that they're coming out with that you can track indexes that honestly I haven't heard of. And some of them are newer, but the S&P 500 is the main one. So it's easy to explain it to that. So.
Okay. So indexed annuities are also called fixed indexed annuities. That's important.
Yes.
And they're linked to the gains of an index, such as you said, Dow, Nasdaq, whatever. Okay. So can you explain a little bit more about how they work? We know they're linked to these indices. Is that how we say it?
It can be indices, indexes, just depends on what part of the country you're talking about. So it's just a different slang for it. So fixed indexed annuities, equity indexed annuities, or just indexed annuities all track an index. Okay. Just like they sound. You earn interest based on the performance of that index, but only up to the cap or the participation rate of that contract. You will not earn 100% of what that index does. So you really need to read the fine print. So when you're shopping on indexed annuities, Michelle, and you say, look, okay, I want something that tracks the S&P 500 for the next 10 years. I want the best cap or potential that I can get out of it. That's what you look for. So you start comparing the caps and the participation rates of the products to see which one's best for you.
Okay, got it. All right. So they're not all, they all are different. They all have different caps.
Yes.
Depending on
different indexes.
And different indexes, obviously. Okay. All right. Makes perfect sense. So can you give us another example? Just do you mind?
Sure. Let's break it down into two examples. Let me just give you an example of what a cap does. So, and use the S&P 500 since it's the most common index out there in annuities today. And then I'll compare what a participation rate does, just to give you an example. Okay. So let's say, Michelle, you have an indexed annuity and your cap on the S&P 500 annually. And so it's in a 12-month period. Sure. And it's not January 1st to December 31st,
when
Michelle.
You start the contract.
From the date of your contract, 12 months later. Okay. So your cap, let's say your cap is 3% on the performance. Okay. Here's how it's applied. So let's say the S&P 500 in that 12-month window is up 2.5% that year.
Mm-hmm.
You only get the 2.5% because that's what was earned up
Right.
to that cap, right?
Okay.
Now, other scenario, if the index is up 5% that year, you still only get the 3%, which
Because
was
that's
the cap. That's it.
Okay.
But if the index is down 1% that year, you don't lose anything. You just receive a zero for that year.
So
Okay.
it protects you. You're protected from losses.
You got it.
But
Okay. And that's the trade-off. That's the big trade-off that people say, okay, I'm okay with earning a percentage of the growth of the S&P 500 as long as I don't have them 10 and 20% drops in the market. So
got it. All right. So that was an example of the cap. What about participation rate and how does that work?
okay. So same example, same index, S&P 500. Let's use a participation of 25%.
Okay.
So Michelle, if the index is up 15% that year, you'll get a 3.75% interest on that year. So 15, take the 15 times the 0.25, 25%.
Okay.
That gives you your participation rate.
Okay.
And if it's up 30%, you're going to even do better because that would pay you 7.5% interest. So 30 times the 25% participation rate.
Okay.
And same as before with the cap, if the index is down 1% that year, you'll just receive 0% interest. You're protected from your losses.
From your losses. Okay. All right. So I have a quick question.
Tell me.
I understand that you are protected. I mean, one of the advantages of having an index annuity is that you are protected from losses.
Yes.
I get that. But I would like to know, is this an investment vehicle that people put just mainly to protect their money and protect their wealth as they're in retirement? Because looking at these numbers, and I know these are just examples, right?
Mhm.
But you're nowhere close to beating inflation. I mean, it's better than nothing, right?
You're exactly right.
Talk to me a little bit about that. But actually, maybe I'll let you answer, but also let's roll into like the advantages because we just talked about protecting your losses. That's a big one.
It is. And okay, so
it's a good way to be in the market without losing.
right, you're still getting some gains, and it's still better than what the money sitting in a savings account is today.
For sure,
right?
100% right.
So let me hit some of the advantages, and then I want to go back to your question because I got a better answer for that. So, and maybe some of the advantages will help you understand why people buy that. So, one big advantage, Michelle, is tax deferred growth. You pay no income taxes on the earnings from your annuity investments until you begin making withdrawals or receiving payments from it. So, but here's the scenario. A lot of people will roll a 401k over into an annuity. Well, you're getting your 401k was already tax deferred anyways.
Sure.
And IRA was already tax deferred. Okay. So you're getting no additional benefit in tax deferred growth in that. So don't let people sell you on the promise, oh, you get tax deferred growth. Well, you're already getting it. Okay.
Right.
So that's a moot point for some consumers. A second thing is unlimited contributions. Think about this. We've done many videos about 401ks, IRAs, what your annual contribution limits are, right? Well, if you're going into an annuity, and let's just say an indexed annuity, and you've put in a lump sum of money in there, we know that, over age 50, you can put in $7,000, right?
Right.
Unless you're going into a non-qualified annuity like this. There's no limits. You could write a check for $1 million tomorrow as long as the insurance company and you agree on that contract. So it's that simple. So there's one reason people use these after they've maxed out all their contributions.
Got it. Okay. So there is no limit to the amount of after-tax money you can put in these.
You're
Pre-tax,
exactly right.
you'll have your annual contribution limits, like you find with IRAs, et cetera. Okay. All right. What else?
And also, those of consumers that buy an indexed annuity with non-qualified money, after-tax money, there's no required minimum distributions in a non-qualified annuity, unlike an IRA annuity where RMD's at 72.
Sure. Okay.
Another benefit is you got multiple investment options, kind of like we was talking about the different indexes. And people will shop, Michelle, the indexed annuities to find the best index that maybe they're familiar with. Some of them have commodity indexes now. And so some people like commodities, they might buy it just for that. So a lot of different choices, the S&P being the most common.
Okay.
And we talked about the limited losses. If the market goes up, you get a participation,
Sure.
you get to participate in the gains up to whatever the cap or your participation rate is. It will not be what the market earns. It's that simple. Just always remember that.
Right. Okay.
People buy it for the death benefit also. A lot of these, Michelle, the majority of annuities will bypass probate and the funds will go directly to their beneficiaries.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and yeah, again, bypassing probate. So, but let me go back to your question of if we're just barely beating the indexes or, inflation rates today. Most of these annuities, especially index annuities, Michelle, are designed around the 10-year treasury note.
Okay.
And in the past 5 to 7 years, we've been at the lowest interest rates in our history, right? Okay, so that's why these caps are so low today. And there's why when you're looking at an indexed annuity, remember I said they could go up to, from 3 years up to 10 years. Some states are up to 16 years, 17 years, just depends on the state. Well, when these products are designed, they're based on that 10-year treasury. Trust me, when we go back, when I remember 2008, 2009, consumers wanted out of the market because of the market was pulling back so heavily. Do you realize our caps back during that time frame, because interest rates were much higher? We had caps, Michelle, of 6.5% and 7%.
Right.
So imagine buying the annuities back then with them types of caps. That is why when advisors say, oh, that's an old annuity, you need the new version, always compare your caps, because you might be locked into a much higher interest rate product and cap product than what is being offered today.
Interesting.
So be very careful. But that's why people buy these, Michelle, for safety and security and the ability to turn into income sometime in the future.
Okay. All right. So we went over advantages. What about the disadvantages?
3 main ones. The biggest one is we've talked about the longevity of these products, long-term products, right? You also have long-term surrender charges. So these surrender charges depend on the state, Michelle. Most states are 10 years with a maximum of a 10% surrender charge if you walked away in the first year. But some states are more than that. So you make sure you look at them products and understand what the surrender charges are before you buy them.
That's big. Exactly.
That's a big one. Another big one is, especially in the index products like these, what we're talking about today. If you're expecting stock market like returns, don't.
No. Yeah.
You're not going to get them. It's that simple.
Nowhere near it.
The index annuities, you pay your gains up to your cap or participation rate. Again, think of the 10-year treasury note, where it's at right now. And if it's hovering right around 2%, 1.75 to 2% is our range right now. Well, you're not going to earn much more than that unless you're taking on some additional risk. So just remember that.
Okay. All right. Any other disadvantages?
Yeah, uncertain returns. Okay, so we talked about in the negative years, you might get a 0. Okay, so what if you had 3 negative years in a row?
Yeah, exactly.
Compounding effect on that money is just sitting there, and you're definitely not beating inflation, today's inflation. So that is a negative. Compare that to a 5-year MYGA that has a fixed rate of maybe 3% today and a cap of 3% for 10 years.
Yeah.
And in a rising interest rate environment, to me, the MYGA might make more sense right now. So that's just my opinion.
All right. So who are these for? Like, who really is, who should look into this?
Yeah, somebody that, I'll tell you, I'll tell you 2 reasons. Two reasons people would buy these. One is somebody that's looking to get a little higher than what the fixed interest rates in their savings accounts today.
Got it.
Okay. Which is simple to beat than horrible savings rate today, right? And they want less risk in the stock market. Okay. So there's the two big scenarios of who it's made for. But, you know, you got to look back and understand that these products, they're complex products.
Yeah.
People want safety. People want security, but they also want growth, and they need growth.
Right.
Okay. So you need to make sure that if you're being sold these, that you understand that each year you've got the right to change them indexes each year. If your advisor is not going to come back and help you each year with that,
Right.
then
Right.
find a different advisor or stay away from that product. So,
Okay. You know what we're going to do? We're going to put below this video a link to a video we did on the types of annuities.
yes.
It's an in-depth look at, you know, all the annuities there are. Basically. Now, while each of the annuity contracts is different, you know, you have to read the fine print. It's an overview. And I think if you've made it this far and you're interested, I would definitely check that one out and
Definitely.
look at your options and know what you want. I mean, that's what we basically preach here on this channel is what do you want? What are your goals? Where are you? And then backing into like, what's the best for you, not just deciding up front.
Right.
You know.
And understand what your risks are. And that's the key.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
And if you feel that, you know, some consumers are, you know, they've been preached all these years, look, use the rule of 100. If you're 60 years old, 60% of your money should be in equities, 40% in bonds. As it gets up higher, there it swaps out. And you just have to use your best judgment. So.
Right. Exactly. Don't let anyone talk you into anything you don't feel comfortable with either.
Right.
There you go. All right. If you liked the content of this video, hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another video from us. Not only we talk about annuities, we talk about 401ks, crypto. I mean, what else? I mean, just inflation, you name it. So we're just really trying to educate you on, you know, not so that you're never sold again. Don't be sold anything anymore.
Exactly.
Know what's up and make the best decision for you and your family. All right. Well, thank you, Brian, very much. And thanks to everybody who watched till the end.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everyone.